Hey, everybody. Welcome to another edition of Freaky Friday Guest Stories. And we are so excited here to be joined with Em and Christine from And That's Why We Drink.
Yay! I'm so happy to be back on your show.
I'm so happy to have y'all back.
We've missed you all. And for those of you who don't know Em and Christine, where have you been? What rock have you been living under? They're the hosts of And That's Why We Drink. It's a true crime paranormal podcast. Em brings the paranormal. Christine brings a true crime, and y'all both bring just the laughs and love. And I love it's like
charm,
a
friendship,
warm, cuddly heart to listen to your show. I love
anxiety, neuroticism. We bring a lot.
I've never heard our really intense, sometimes awful and brutal podcast be called a warm hug, but I'm so into it.
It's the magic of your voices, and it's it truly is like you're being invited in. So I love it.
Thank
your
you.
personality.
You're invited under the anti-anxiety gravity blanket.
Sometimes there's Xanax. It's a good time. I was just pitching Sinisterhood to somebody. I forget who. I don't know why I'm like your PR person all of a sudden.
We don't have one, so that's great. I love it.
It's me. I was pitching your show, and I described it as kind of like our show, but much more educated and informed. And I'm like, there's a literal attorney, so that they can explain actual, when I have to explain an Alfred plea, I'm like, God, not again. I hope you guys never hear this because it's me reading off Wikipedia. But anyway,
you get it right.
Yeah, they're right. I love it. Well, and that's how I felt on the. It's funny because on our show I'll be like, law stuff, whatever. Which we'd love to describe that, but I also am a believer in all the things,
which is the best combo.
I love Em. I'm going to follow behind you
because
you're
lawyer.
In the Ghost Club, Society of Psychical Research, American Society of Psychical Research, Parapsychological Association, and MUFON. Yep. And I'm going to join.
Em loves to be in a club.
I love a club.
Me too.
By the way, before we pressed record, all of us just joined a new club on our group chat where we just
we made a club.
So I love a fucking club. Anytime I can say, I'm a part of XYZ.
Well, you were in literally every sorority and fraternity at your college, you just said. So
which seems impossible.
And yet, it does seem impossible. Yet
just possible enough,
That's the M. Schultz way. It seems impossible, but just possible enough.
Possible enough.
I love it. Yeah, this is like the Magician's Alliance.
I'm going to become a MUFON member. My brother's a MUFON member. I need to become a MUFON member.
Me too. Let's all be card-carrying members.
I literally have a card. Yeah, they give you a card.
That's so cool.
That's what I want.
It's a good time. I also really want. Actually, we could all do this together as a team project if you'd like. But one of the things I've wanted to do so badly through MUFON is you can become a field investigator for you on the job, but you have to take a really intense. You have to take an intense class and do 6 months of prep work before you can take the test.
Okay, this is why Em's saying it's a group project because one time Em told me about it and then said, "Do they actually think I'm going to read all of this and take a test?" Hell no. And I was like, you have to do it. But I guess maybe if we can make the lawyer read all the paperwork, then we can make this happen.
Heather's good at summarizing things, so she can just regurgitate it to us.
Perfect.
We all know.
I got to one page. Notes. I got to one page in the because I have the manual to prep for it, and then obviously I just keep forgetting. Putting it to the side, but I got to the page where it's teaching me about different crop circle soil samples, and I was like, I don't. Okay. It's I'm so intrigued, but also my brain can't get me to read about dirt for an hour. So anyway, so it's a real toss up.
Soil.
Yeah, even the aliens are we don't need to. We'll just figure it out. We'll wing it. We can just go down there. And we don't.
The aliens are zoom out. It's about the picture. The underneath does not matter.
You're getting too in the weeds, literally.
You're in my crop circle weeds.
If my hunch isn't telling me that it's an alien, then I'm just going to pass on this case.
Yeah. Was Sherlock Holmes down analyzing it? Okay, he was.
I investigate with my gut, so you can't argue with that.
That's right. Your intuition, counts
That's
for something.
How we do it. In our Magician's Alliance, which is our new spooky podcast group chat.
Is that what it's called?
Magician's Alliance?
We have to figure out a different alliance name, but it makes me think of that where you're it's a very serious organization. What's your job? talking about cryptids and spooky things.
Story of our lives.
Cryptozoology is an accredited field, Heather.
It is accredited. Yeah, it kills me on LinkedIn when I'm like, check out the newest episode of Sinisterhood, and my colleagues are like, closed $1 billion deal, and I was like, yeah, but do you know about the squonk's juices? I don't think you do. Welcome aboard.
He cries tears because he's so ugly, and I feel like people should know about it.
He should, and also we should all say all bodies are beautiful, including Squonks.
We love you.
He's not ugly.
Head
He's
to
a beautiful, wart-covered little blob.
We've all been there, you know.
I've certainly felt like a squonk before, so I can relate.
We all relate.
That's why that's the most relatable cryptid of just like crumbling down. Well, do you all have, I'm not going to say, do you have, because I know for a fact you have a million Freaky Friday type of stories, but I hear today you have a combined story.
Very excited for this.
I feel like we never get to tell like a duo. I don't know why. We don't have, I do know why. Because every time we go on a ghost hunt, it's like for our live show. So we don't really talk about it on the podcast. So we don't ever really get to tell like stories that we experience together. So I'm very excited about this.
We do still, without anyone's permission, like people listen to the podcast thinking they're getting like 2 well-researched stories, or not, just 2 stories. But then we like really insert our own like random experiences in. If we have like a slight relevancy, we can, use to shove the conversation that way.
Yeah.
And so we have talked a little bit on the show about this story, but it was never a clean telling of it. It was just,
and I'm sure this won't be either. Just to clarify, I don't think we're going to get a very clean telling here either. But
first,
we can try our best. Do you want to take it? Do you want to start? Do you want me to start?
I can try, but I'm so sorry in advance. We're Geminis and it's Pride season, so we're really like not going to be able to keep it together. Thank you. But I'm sure, as you know, have a tendency of speaking over each other when we get excited. So just get ready for that.
Ready.
I'll start, and then Christine, in 2 seconds, you jump in. So
fantastic. So as Em was saying, no, I'm just
well, the problem is, unless you don't want us to, we might jump into.
No, please
do. Okay. So we had a live show. This was back in like 2018 or 2019. Now it was before COVID.
Ago. Yeah,
and we had from our previous tour. We had a show in New Orleans that we were going to do. Christine has this lovely gift that whenever we were going touring at the time, now we luckily have somebody who helps us out with travel. But for a long time, it was Christine's sole job. And I give you much applause for the rest of time on putting this all together for us. But she did all the travel and figured out the hotels and the flights and all this. And I don't know how you do it, and you deserve a trophy because Christine deserves one too. But so Christine, because she was in charge of where we were staying, she thought it was like so quirky that every time we go somewhere, she picked like the most grotesque haunted place ever.
Like I had to.
There's and she was like, for the plot, we're going to stay in a really haunted place and just see
for
what
the
happens.
Story, always.
Haunted frequently is not well kept, nice, renovated, right? Haunted usually means vintage.
I think it was kind of one of those hotels where it was nice for its time, but it still seemed really outdated. So it felt like it wasn't.
That happens a lot. And I've kind of learned my lesson on that because it'll be like, a 4-star, like beautiful old antique haunted. And then you'll get in and it's like the ceiling tiles are falling off, but it's like $600 a night. And you're like, okay.
There's buzzwords. Cozy.
Yeah. Oh gosh.
Charming.
Boutique.
Yeah.
Charming.
Boutique. Transported back in time. Oh, and I'm like, no, thank you. 2023 is bad enough.
When running water wasn't a thing.
Well, so we were transported back to this hotel that used to be an orphanage or something that like caught on fire and all the children burned.
Wow.
It was
super duper.
Bad.
Not even a joke. Literally was an orphanage, also a Civil War hospital, also a nunnery, and then a bunch of children like burned it. And I didn't know this when I booked it.
It seems like sort by most tragedy.
Christine, she was like
ghosts only.
How many places have dead orphans? Like, let's find that.
Okay, to be fair, New Orleans, like every hotel is haunted. I just happened to find one of the more aggressively
The
haunted
best.
ones.
Yeah.
And well, so Christine also wouldn't really tell us anything about the hotels until we got there. So I knew I was in for trouble when she didn't really tell us much. And we got to the hotel and then she went, guess what happened here? And then it was like, it was great.
And then
dinner
Em said, I don't know,
conversation.
what about that giant plaque behind you that says this was an orphanage that burned down? And I was like,
here's a list of all of the children's names of everyone who didn't make it.
The lost
horrifying.
souls.
Horrifying.
It's awful. And it used to be where there were like nuns who also were like, it's like even sadder. Like the nuns were trying to protect the children and then they also died.
It's horrible. And I didn't, to be fair, I did not know that and go, I just saw like most haunted hotel. I was like, perfect. But we did a ghost tour on one of the days and they stopped in front of our hotel and went, now this location. And we went, uh-oh.
Oh, no.
That's
we have a couple of warnings for you all.
Yeah, don't ever stay here.
You will get bed bugs and you'll get possessed. So good luck.
Bed bugs. Oh, God.
Yeah, I remember doing like one of those slow deadpan turns to Christine as the tour guide was like, this is probably one of the worst places to stay at night. And
I was drinking a Hurricane. I didn't really care.
What was that? It's the what?
I'm not listening.
We're staying at this hotel. And because it was New Orleans, and I think we didn't have a show, it was like going to be our first show of that leg. So we got to come in a few days early and like really make a thing of it. And so we had done a ghost tour. I had my own adventures. I'm kind of a solo traveler, and Christine and our other producer, Eva, they kind of tag team. So every now and then we'll like run into each other and, tell each other what we've been up to.
Swamp petting gators. We're at the brunch
swamp tour.
Bottomless mimosas listening to jazz. So just to give you an idea of like the two paths we take.
Yeah.
Awesome. And so we had kind of done a bunch of stuff, and I think this was the night before our show, or it was the night after our show or something. We were feeling very relaxed, like, oh, it's time to leave soon, and not much more could happen here. And Christine and I had rooms across the hall from each other. And I feel like, Christine, this is where you should jump in because your experience kicked in first.
Yeah. So I was laying in bed watching probably some trashy television show, and I kept hearing someone knock on the door, and I was like, ugh. So every time I would get up and look out and there was nobody there, and I was like, Em is screwing with me. I know it. And so I waited like right by the door, and I was like, okay, Em's going to do it again. And somebody knocked, and I like whipped right into the little peephole thing, and nobody was there. And so I whipped the door open, and I was like, okay, this is not funny. Like, it's empty. And I went and I started banging on Em's door, and I'm like, what are you doing? And Em texts me a photo of them on the toilet and was like, I'm on the toilet. I can't help you with this. I don't know what your problem is.
She said something like, help me. And I was like, I'm so busy right now.
I thought you were knocking.
Help me is such a alarming and vague text. Like, what with what?
I definitely have texted my husband Paris, emergency 911, and then he answered and I was like, I can't find the remote.
We all have different
his
degrees of emergency.
Yeah, he was at his office job and he's like, I gotta take this. Hello, are you okay? And I was like, I don't want to watch this anymore.
Well, I feel like not to say that Christine or I are like the boy who cried wolf, but I think we've both texted each other such bullshit throughout our friendship that like, even if she said, I am dying in the other room, you have 5 seconds to say goodbye to me, I'd be like, okay, you're hungry.
I'm still peeing.
But if I sent that, I'm dying in the other room, you have 5 seconds to say goodbye, it could be that in a second I'm going to send a link that was so ridiculous that I'm dying. I speak hyperbolic.
I'm just going to wait for a meme to come through that's very funny.
Just wait the 4 seconds, and then on the 5th one you'll know this is the real deal.
So anyway, I was on the toilet. I was getting texts from Christine. And I was like, I'll deal with that when I'm done dealing with this. And then I'll come over. And when I came over, she kept saying, like, why were you knocking on the door? Were you knocking on the door? And I was like, I already proved I was unavailable. Yeah. So no.
Okay.
And it was like, it sounds so cliche and it sounds so boring, but it really was like somebody would be like, rap, 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 like on the wood of the door. And I was standing there. So I like whipped it open. Nobody was there. Very creepy.
And so then I think Christine was already a little freaked out because we'd also just heard about how haunted this place was.
Yeah, true.
We dodged a bullet every other night. So I think that was when you said like, oh, it's kind of freaking me out. Can you just like come hang out with me in my room for a little bit? And that was when you went to the bathroom. Oh, Was I on the toilet again? Hang on, what happened?
Okay. This is like a story that Heather and I would tell.
Because we definitely have texted each other from the toilet, for sure. Selfies as well.
Because also, like, I was recently late to a show on tour because
the Salt Lake City show.
toilet.
I had to go out. They didn't.
First.
They were like, and it's Sinisterhood. And I was like, hey guys, it's just me. Christy's in the other room.
Christy's
Anyway,
joining us live from the potty.
I had my McGruff the Crime Dog puppet. I was like, you guys want to see my puppet? And they were like, okay. And then she came out like very shortly.
I feel like we've been waiting for that to happen to one of us, and it still hasn't happened.
It will.
Yet,
I know.
It was great.
Anyway, it's always been a fear, and it finally happened. So now I feel like it's happened, and I survived.
You know, Heather has a puppet backup show, puppet show as a backup, so don't worry.
Well, I feel like there was.
I know what happened. I know what happened because there was a space between your second potty visit because you had one in your room, and then we hung out, and of course, immediately ordered Postmates and Starbucks, and so we're consuming all these beverages and eating, and we're. I said, can you bring like an EMF detector or like that's what you brought, right?
I brought an EMF detector.
So we were like, ooh, let's see if there's a ghost here. I don't know. And Em was like, I don't know if this is a good idea. And I was like, me neither. And I turned it on and we started playing with it. And we started like immediately getting responses. And we're asking, how old are you? Blah, blah, blah. Turns out this is what we determined was a child ghost, right? And how did we get the name, Em?
So for context, when we're on tour, part of our like set decoration is we bring a bunch of ghost equipment, and so that's why we just happen to have it with us.
Nice.
And we also brought out the spirit box, which is like if you've ever watched one of those ghost hunting shows, it's the machine that goes and it's very obnoxious.
That's the one we had. We got one, but I didn't adjust it right. It just was playing Bette Midler over the radio. And I was like, I don't think this is a message.
We're standing on the side of
Devil's Bridge in San Antonio. And
trying
it's like,
to make contact. All we could pick up was
I don't think that's the ghost.
Wind Beneath My Wings.
So Emma's a legitimate researcher. I'm like, I just found this on Amazon.
I just imagine you guys being like, is Bette Midler dead? Is she communicating with us? Did we miss something?
Google right now.
I do feel like with your paper research and our on the field research together, we can make a really valid show. You know,
we're unstoppable. We're unstoppable.
Yeah,
I think so.
But so we had the spirit box out and we asked what his name was, and we got Michael.
Yeah, like pretty clear. And we were like, okay, this is getting a little spooky. And at this point, Em is like, well, I have to pee. Okay, so Em goes and uses my bathroom, and I'm just sitting there and I don't know, playing Candy Crush or something. And all the machines are off. We're just hanging out. All of a sudden, Em's in the bathroom and this music just starts like blaring in our room. And I'm looking around like, and I literally start screaming, and Em's like, I'm on the toilet
again.
And I'm like, help, SOS.
911 emergency.
Help me.
But Em thinks I've just like started like a rave. Em's like, then turn down the fucking music. And I'm like, I didn't turn it on. I don't know where it's coming from. The TV's off.
From my perspective, it just sounded like she started playing music in the other room. And so
then
when she was like, music is playing, and I was like, then fucking turn it off.
I'm like, problem.
And also it is interesting that every time I am busy, like unable to help you, is when this thing's fucking with you.
It's literally your pants are around your ankles, and the ghosts are like, time to enter the scene.
The most vulnerable.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, what song was it?
Yeah, so I was like, I've never heard this song before. Some weird, like it
also
wasn't,
was playing on your like
my wings.
It was playing on your like your something you weren't even signed in on.
No, so I'm looking around and I'm like, where's this coming from? Turns out it's coming from my iPad, which is in my backpack. And I'm like, well, my iPad, like I only use that like for my notes. It's really old. And I'm like, that's odd. And I open it and it's it's literally open to Apple Music. And I like don't have Apple Music. I don't listen to Apple Music.
This child ghost is advanced technology.
The child ghost was like, bye, song, yes.
Like any child, just
it was like iCloud password. I don't know how he got my iCloud password, but because I don't even know my iCloud password. But yeah, so it started playing this song, and we opened it, and it was called, I swear to God, it was called something like spirit of the something like very unsettling, and it almost felt like another prank. But again, this time I was sure and was in the bathroom. So I open it up and I'm like trying to play it, and it's like, you must buy this song. Like, you can't. It played the whole song, but then I'm like, let me replay it. And it says, sorry, you don't own it. And I'm like, well then it wasn't playing the preview. It was playing the whole song. And then I went to click the app and it was like, do you want to re-download Apple Music? I was like, so this thing wasn't even downloaded on my iPad. I don't know how it happened. I don't know what was going on. But we determined that Michael was a little agitated. We don't really know why. So we played some guessing game with him about how to calm him down.
Yeah, we used we kept using the EMF detector, and we're just asking yes or no questions. And I think at one point we had multiple EMF detectors in the room. We were like, if you can run from this one to that one, and can you make that light go off and then this light go off?
Where's Eva during all of this? In her
Probably
own room?
resting for once.
Okay,
and like ignoring us.
Y'all haven't called her to immediately come.
You know what? I'm sure we did.
She
probably had like do not disturb on for the times when she's like, they're okay.
Yeah. But are they?
No.
I don't think so.
Never.
I feel like once she hears her phone going ding, 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 that's when she turns it over and just like, closes her eyes and covers her ears.
I can't. I'll deal with it in the morning.
They'll be fine.
So there was, so we were asking a bunch of questions, and we found out that he was like one of the kids who died there. We were asking like, do you get to talk to people often? Are you running around the hotel a lot?
We said like, do you have any brothers or sisters? And it said, I don't know. And we were like, oh that's really sad.
Did he say how old he was?
Like 7 or something, like a little kid.
That's what I was picturing. I was picturing like little
mischievous, like knock, knock, knock. Like
hiding.
Yeah, like 7, 8. Yeah, and he seemed like really sweet, but then he would say sad things like, I don't know if I have any brothers or sisters. And we were like, oh no.
And eventually we just had that feeling that something was in the room with us and looking at us, and it was very uncomfortable. Yeah. Christina and I ended up sleeping in the same bed that night just because we were scared. And
in your room?
I would have.
In Christine's room,
yeah.
Whoa, brave though, because you could have switched to M's.
That's true. Didn't think about that.
And we should have. I think we're just kind of dumb. I don't know why we didn't think of that.
Well, so was out.
Michael needed you.
We were trying to figure out a way to like maybe stay on his good side while we were trying to sleep. But we felt like something was in the room with us. So we were like, oh, do you know what a TV is? Do you like TV? What year were you born? And we were trying to figure out a show that like maybe he would have watched, or like around the time where he died. And so we were like, I don't know, what's an old cartoon like the Flintstones?
Gunsmoke. Oh, yeah. Flintstones. Yeah, that makes more sense.
So we just
you guys want to? Hey, little boy, you want to watch Bonanza? Get in here, sit down. And he's like,
got some reruns of MASH.
Let's watch MASH.
The ghost is quietly watching Hawkeye. Yeah, every time.
So we put Flintstones on, and I think at one point we tried to turn it off, and then the machine started freaking out.
We paused it to go to bed, and then everything went crazy, and we were like,
Michael needed to see the end.
Give me back my Barney
show.
Betty.
That's like if I try and turn off Ella's show we gotta see the end. We gotta finish it.
Y'all were babysitting.
Y'all legitimately got roped into babysitting your last
I know, that's true. It was babysitting.
That is how it felt, because we were trying to like conserve like your iPad's battery or something. And so we wanted to turn it off, but then we ended up just like plugging it into the wall on the other side and just had Flintstones playing all night. So in the middle of the night, I would just hear, yabba-dabba-doo! And
just trying to sleep.
Yeah. And then just faint child laughter.
Oh, that was the other thing. Sound. It was almost like every time something funny happened, like the machines would like start going, and we were like, are you laughing? And they all went off, and we were like, okay.
Michael gets it.
It was
Michael's
very
got
spooky.
a sense of humor.
And we went back to LA after that, because I was living in LA at the time, and we were recording, and I was like, oh, there was this boy ghost, and Em's like, don't say his name. And I was like, yeah, I don't really feel comfortable saying his name. And for some reason, we just felt super weird for like years because Emma was like, I feel like he's just gonna come hang out if
I feel like he like attached to us or something.
It was very odd.
Yeah.
We both didn't want to say his name out loud, like it was Beetlejuice or something.
Even the thought of him, it felt like we were like conjuring him or something. And we every time we mentioned him, we had to be like, with love and light, you can go back to where you're from. We don't need to be like, you are not welcome here. This is our space.
So hopefully, the what's that lawyery word? The statute of limitations is passed.
yes.
He can stay behind.
Did you ever feel his presence again?
I think I don't feel his presence now, but I feel paranoid that I feel like I should feel his presence.
Yeah, that's exactly how I feel. It was a while where we were like way not into talking about it. Now I feel like, okay, the air is clear. Which is weird because it really did seem like such an innocent spirit. But then again, I guess that's how a lot of them get you. Like, you know.
Yeah.
Or on top of it, maybe because he was a little kid, maybe if we like let that door be open for a little too long, he might just latch on because he wanted a friend or something, and then we would be able to get rid of him. And it just wasn't. He knows my iCloud password. It's like, how can I get rid of him?
He's in now.
Maybe that's when he left. Maybe when I changed it for the millionth time, he was like, all right, I can't memorize this.
I've given out.
Maybe when he realized we don't play Flintstones all the time, he was like, well, fuck this.
This is boring.
I'll just go back to the room. Maybe somebody will turn something on. It's fine. He's like, I don't want to watch this show again. Well, like, then get your own iPad, kid. It's not, I'm here to babysit.
I like to think the people who have stayed in that hotel room after us now still like hear like a faint Flintstone. Like he's trying to like signal to them that
yabba dabba doo.
Wow, Mom.
It's gonna be in the reviews now.
Did you ever ask the front desk or anything if something specific happened in that room?
So I don't think we asked about that room, but I do remember that floor. They said kids are known to run up and down the hallways, and we did not learn that until afterward. And I remember being like, "Oh, that would explain the like random knocking and running away."
Yeah,
maybe like playing hide and seek or whatever with each other.
Yeah, so that's the only thing I ever learned about the floor. But
that is just imagining all these kid ghosts just playing hide and seek while you're just trying to eat Postmates.
Yeah, right. Or you're the Postmates.
Enjoy the bathroom,
or you're on the toilet.
Yeah,
trying to chill on the toilet.
It really does freak me out when I mean, clearly, well, in my mind, they were very aware that I was like in the bathroom 2 times that night. Like, what other times have I been on the toilet and didn't know someone was just staring at me?
I'm having a crisis. I feel like every time you go to the bathroom, I'm just like having an SOS emergency.
You melt out.
Christine's like, don't leave me. Don't leave. Em's like, I have to go. Like,
I'll come with you. It's fine.
Yeah, we'll just go together. It's a new level of our friendship.
That's like my 2.5-year-old Simon. You don't go to the bathroom by yourself these days.
No, he just wants to come in.
He'll be like, okay, Mom. I'm like, I'm going potty. Okay, Mom. Let's go.
My daughter literally just started doing that. She's 20 months old. We got her like a mini potty and we put it next to the big one. And I'll be like, okay, I have to go potty. And she'll go, baby potty. And I'm like, okay, come on.
Yeah, you're like, well, I wanted to scroll on my phone for a few seconds.
I needed a break, but it's okay. And then she's like, elephant potty, teddy potty. Everybody has to use the potty.
So you gotta go potty.
It's a whole field trip every time you have to pee.
It's a field trip. The whole zoo has to go potty now.
Yeah, you're like, well, I got to block off the next 2 hours because we're going potty.
Doing a potty party at the
hanging out in the bathroom for the rest of the afternoon. Does Simon see any ghosts or anything creepy? Does he say anything about past lives? That's the part I'm scared of.
But he. I mean, he is verbal and he talks, but he couldn't string together a sentence like
enough to say,
"Mommy, who's that man over there?" or anything like that.
Or like, that's good. I remember the day I was born.
In time, don't worry.
No. Remember when I flew the airplane? It's like, what the hell?
Whoa, what? But I've had 2 different mediums tell me that Ella is gifted. And I feel like and they haven't met her. No. They just like know of her. One though, there's a witch store here in Dallas called Labyrinth, and when she was about 6 months old, I took her in there just because I was getting some stuff, and one of the women, and they're all like witches that work there, was like, I noticed her as soon as you walked in. I noticed the baby and like her energy and everything, and I could see it. I think she's got something going on.
Wait, how old is she now?
She's 5.5. She will let you know there's a half
and a half.
She is so about the half.
She's like, I didn't earn those last 6 months for them to be left on the table. I'm 5.5.
She's like, Liam's only 5. Sam is like 5 1/4, but I'm 5.5.
So look at those fractions. Right. I mean, I'm impressed.
Here's how you learn fractions.
I'm really impressed. When you told me that the folks at Labyrinth had said, I noticed her when I was shopping for a house. When Ella was little, Christy and Ella would go, because she was at home. It was during the day. I'd be like, hey, let's go run and go to these open houses or go tour it with my real estate agent. And we would bring Ella, and some houses she would freak out. And other houses there was one that was like a lot of weird dark paneling.
We even were like, something happened here. This is a weird energy.
And that's what you go, this is kind of a weird vibe. And you walked her back around to like the main suite in the back, and she started like squirming and screaming, and you were like, I got to get her out of here. And I just told my real estate agent, this isn't going to work.
This is a no-go.
But the house I live in now that we're recording in now, when you put her down here and she started like crawling all over and was like touching the walls and happy, I was like, baby approved. We can. And the real estate agent's like, that's how you're going to decide this.
This is okay.
Sure.
There's no option on Zillow. You can't like check that, you know?
Has this been approved by psychic baby real estate agent? If not, I don't want it.
She's like a canary in a mine. We send her in first, and if she's okay, then we're like, all right.
There's no bad vibes.
I do feel like Zillow should have an option where it's like you can bring your psychic baby or animal with you to check out the house, because they'll let you know if the vibes are off, you know?
I need to know. I'm not going to sign a 30-year mortgage if the vibes are
no. And they also should disclose there's been some things that have, there's been some reports of stuff happening.
We just covered that for one of our topics. We did I'm already forgetting what it's called.
It's the properties that are
stigmatized
properties disclosures.
And so
what does that the attorney knows all about it. Don't worry.
I don't know about it, but
murder's been committed there or something.
Well, and that happened to a friend of mine. They were shopping for a house, and their kid was around 8. They had a son that was around 8 at the time, and they liked it. And overall, it wasn't bad. And their kid was kind of bored with the house shopping process, and so he was kind of sitting on there was like an entryway, like 3 stairs coming in, and so he was just kind of sitting there. But they said he was like staring off or whatever, and that they were talking to the real estate agent, and then later on, the real estate agent's like, so it's a great house. Everything's great. I have to disclose to you, there was an incident here though, and disclosed that the son of the family had attacked and killed his parents in the house.
Oof.
And they were like,
that's a no-go for me.
We're really sorry that happened, but they're like, no, thank you. And then they like walked off, and they're like, we like walked off, and our son was like super weird and quiet. And then when we got in the car and drove off, he was like, so are we going to another house? She's like, it was like a weird, like, his attitude shifted. And so she's like, because at first we were like, he must not like the house.
But he was like in a daze. Ew.
He was like in a weird trance
felt an energy.
And when the real estate agent's like, this place is, it's doing something to your son.
God, and the whole time she's like, they're going to love it. And then I'm going to have to say it.
She knows
I have to say it every time. You're
always
like, the backyard's great. I know you're going to love it. Here's the kicker. And then who sticks it out?
What do you guys actually think? If you were moving into a house and you found out something really intense happened there, are you people who could live there or no? No judgment either way.
I think it would also depend. I don't think I could live there if I knew a murder had been committed, because I'm a very visual person, and I also my anxiety, I'll just catastrophize and imagine the worst. So if I didn't know the details, then I'd have the worst case scenario.
Right.
If I did know the details, then I would map out the entire thing exactly as it had happened, especially if it was unsolved.
Oh, God.
Then I might buy it. Then I'd be like, you know what? I'll
solve it.
I'm cracking this case.
That's right.
I'm here to
You and I would be peeling the linoleum up, looking for clues.
Well, have any of y'all watched Murder House? It was a Quibi show that then later got bought by Roku.
You said it was good.
Honestly, it was pretty good, because I was afraid it was going to be exploitive and kind of sensationalized. But the designers that are on it are honestly so kind, and they're so kind to these families. And the families explain why, they're like, we really wanted to live in this area because, it's schools for our kids, or it's near our families, and the homes are so expensive. And the only home we could afford was this home. And you talking about lifting up the linoleum, a gentleman had murdered his wife there and had dismembered her body in the bathtub.
Oh my God.
And they sold the house. The new family was moving in and we're like, well, they said they cleaned everything. And the murder house people come in and say, well, because a big incident happened in the bathroom, and this would be the only way I could live in a place. I think they took it down to the studs and they're like, you've got to just pull all this out. But when they did, they were like, let's spray. And there was like, it was still remnants and stuff. So they're like, for your safety, we're going to just redo this. So that house actually, or that show was actually doing a real service for these families that can't afford to renovate, can't afford to move, but are like, but it's also kind of bad vibes. And so they would try to like feng shui it, like say, this is how like the event happened when it was oriented this way. Let's completely shift the orientation of the room. We'll move the door.
Or add a wall or something.
We'll add whatever. So I like that show because of that. And they were kind about it. Yeah. But at first I'd be like, oh, hell, I don't know that I could like purchase a house knowing that, but I get it.
Especially if it was a high profile crime. Like I'm not going to live in John Benet Ramsey's house. I'm not going to live in the Menendez house or something like. Also, I feel like those are so like touristy and people like toddlers and stuff. Looky loos, exactly. Yeah, it would be hard.
I think if it were just like a simple like natural death, like a heart attack,
that might be okay.
But meanwhile,
I'm passing in your sleep.
I'm dating somebody who I think if there was like an intense murder, I think she'd be like, "Let's move in tomorrow," and I'd be like, "What is wrong with you?" So we're very different in all ways, but I'm totally on board with all of you. Where I'm like, if the vibes are off, that's it. I mean,
honestly, like even if there was a suicide, I think I would be like, I'll probably pass just because I feel like then
I think about it all the time.
About like the sadness.
I would too.
I don't know. I would struggle with that.
I would too. I'm a very like in my head person that my imagination runs away. So I would constantly just be like, well, this was the room.
Yeah. I'd be like, am I sad because I'm really sad and have clinical depression, or is the ghost of the suicide person in my head? I'd probably go crazy.
I have this really weird vibe in my closet, in my bedroom closet, and I hate that because
gotta love it.
We can guess if someone died there, and they can't tell me if someone died there, but I just have this really, I always feel something in there with me. And even when it's a closet that when you're lying in bed, you're looking straight at the closet.
No.
That's bad feng shui, I got to fix your feng shui.
At night, I can feel something staring at me right there. And it never leaves like that 1 foot by 1 foot, square foot.
Can you move your bed to where it doesn't face it?
That's what I'm saying. Feng shui, man.
Well,
it's
so
real.
Actually, I technically, I guess I could. I'd have to redo the whole room, but even when I'm not in the room, if I'm like down the hall, like I can always feel something just kind of floating there, and it's never felt. There's like 2 or 3 times where it felt kind of like dark, like it was like it felt intelligent, and I was not into that. But I've also just very openly been like, no, thank you. Like, we're not here for that. And it's left me alone. I think it knows I sense it. And I'm like, if you just want to have your little, your space, have your space, but you're not going any further than that.
But it can coexist.
Right.
Yeah.
But I do wonder what happened there. And I really can't pull from the idea. I can't come up with any other idea besides there was a death right there.
Yeah.
So,
because it's that lingering and that waiting. You're like, you can go that way in the closet or into the other beyond, but don't come this way into the apartment. You're
not this light. You can follow any light but my bedroom light.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm turning this off. Stay in there. Yeah, that is.
Do you sage? Have you ever tried speaking
cleansing
to it?
Mm-hmm. I haven't. The only cleansing I know of is saging, but now as a white person, I feel like maybe I shouldn't be like doing that anymore. So I don't know any other cleansing practices that I feel safe enough to do with the confidence that I wouldn't fuck it up and make things worse.
That's the thing is I always worry like when you see people like, oh, I waved Palo Santo around and then they're like, well, now you've aggravated it.
Yeah.
Like, oh,
yeah.
No.
My stepmom would have some information. She's been Wiccan for like 40 years. So she probably has some intel, but I've also, I had the same thing in my childhood home where like I had a ghost that was like, the vibes were a little off, but like we kind of had an understanding with each other. And so I think I'm just kind of used to like feeling something in my room at night. And it's like, as long as you don't fuck with me, I won't fuck with you. So
do you think it's the same one?
I hadn't thought about that.
God.
I don't know. That guy loves to walk around in my childhood room. So I feel like if he had the chance to like run all over my room at night, he would.
Yeah.
This banished him to the closet.
But I do feel something. I definitely feel something in my room, and I because I'm afraid of aggravating it, I don't want to like not successfully get rid of it, and then it knows I tried to get rid of it, and now it wants to fuck with me. So
so awkward.
It's like when you try to stomp on a spider, and then it's like, I saw what you tried,
and then it turns,
it's gonna jump on me. Like,
exactly.
No.
And you're like, I deserve this.
Yeah, I know, right? Yeah, all right, like, take your shot.
Well,
it's
yeah,
fair.
I had that coming.
Fair
Okay.
and square. Fair and square. Oh my goodness. Well, you have all the ghost equipment. Do you just not want to pull that out in your own house? I feel
In my own
That's
house,
what M
no.
says. Like M's
No,
like
yeah.
M literally tells me
I
we
feel
can
you.
do, and we do the Ouija board at my house all the time, which is also stupid because I live in a house from 1870. It's so dumb. But M's like, not at my house, and I'm like, I respect that thoroughly.
I have a here. I'll show you with the. Sorry for the shoddy camera work, but
Do it. I'm obsessed.
There's my laundry, but this whole closet is a.
I love that.
Oh,
whatever.
isn't
Is that
that
a mural?
cool?
It's
very
a
cool.
little
Awesome.
a little Etsy wallpaper, but that whole closet is. I've like, if I open it up, it looks like a Tony Stark like lab, and it's like
It is.
I put like lights and shit in there, and there's
M took the label maker and like went ham, like everything. I know.
I'll take a picture and send it to you later, but it's a full paranormal lab with like all this equipment.
It's like your
amazing
and
go closet.
And it's also it's also the guest room, so like anyone who stays here is like terrified.
He's like, let me hang up my nice dress. Oh, never mind.
Sorry, the EVP reader is there.
My mom is staying with me later this week with her husband, who is like a good man, but he's also like overly religious for my taste. But he will be staying in my paranormal equipment lab next to my copy of the Satanic Bible. Like he's like gonna really be in for it.
Welcome to my home.
I don't know what he expects.
But no, it's so wild because people see that and they're like, oh, we could like obviously have a whole seance tonight if we wanted to. And I'm like, I know it looks like I could just pull that out and have a party right now, but I won't allow any of it to be on in my home because I don't need to find out. You know,
that's
yeah. I think that's the best
I think you go to the 1800s.
Yeah, why not?
Christine's house.
What can happen?
Christine's also very pro. Let's fuck around with this stuff and find out. So
listen, I'm like, apologize later. That's all. There's just apologize later. That's my motto.
Which of the two of you are more risky or like willing
chaotic
to take risks?
Probably me.
Yeah, I'll do stuff, but I'm scared about it, and but Christy will just be like, "Let's just walk in and do it." Or like at the Dolphins, I was like, "This is the floor where in downtown Dallas, like this is the floor of the hotel where all this stuff happened." And she was like, "Yeah, let's take the pendulum and go over and start talking to it." And I was like, "What if it answers?" And she's like, "Well, you hope it does."
That's the point.
I was like, "That's what we want."
Answers.
But also at the Dolphins is where I was like 100% sure it was a ghost. And I was like, there was a sound, and then she checked in and got up there and was like, okay, we'll wait for it. And it happened. And I said, that sound. And she's like, the AC kicking on? And I was like, yeah, I guess it was that. Okay.
See, that's me too. I'm like a little more skeptical. Like M's more scared. I'm more skeptical.
I am also more skeptical, and probably that lends itself to being
little bit.
more of a risk taker.
I think that's what it is.
I'm like, whatever.
I'm gonna go talk to it.
And if something does happen, I'll apologize later. You know,
yeah,
it's
exactly.
Right.
Yeah, you're going into it with a pure heart, so it knows.
I am,
feel like
and good intentions.
Have you been to Vegas? The two of you for the Zak Bagans Museum?
We have not been to the Zak Bagans Museum. You just went to Vegas on tour, right?
Mm-hmm. We did.
And how was your Zak? Did you go to the museum or not?
I don't know if we're welcome anymore. No, I'm just kidding.
Are you beefing with Bagans?
We're always beefing with Bagans.
We're always beefing with Bagans too. He doesn't know it. He has no idea.
That's the problem. Is he doesn't know it.
That's how we feel too.
Except I feel like he's about to. He's gonna find out eventually the amount we talk about it.
Yeah,
it's gonna be a real like. We're gonna have the fucking audacity to be surprised that he's mad. Like,
yeah.
I don't. Yeah, he's gonna be like, "Ma'am, you've done so many impressions of me," and I'm gonna have to be like, "Yes, I have."
Well, finally, the lawyers are involved.
Just some intel for you, which I'm sure we're allowed to talk about now because that tour is over. But one of our last tour that we did, we investigated the Queen Mary, and then whenever we go on tour, we've done a paranormal investigation, and then we show
like
everyone
overnight
all the spooky stuff that we found.
Oh, I love it!
Nice.
During our tour where we were showing off footage from the Queen Mary, can you tell the story, Christine? You're so good at telling the story.
Which story? There was so much that happened.
The Zak Bagans story.
Oh, I'm sorry. The main fucking plot point? Yes, I will, happily. So this mofo, Anyway, it all started in 2013. Em's like, you're so good at telling the story. Never mind.
You're like,
no, so back then I was going through a bad breakup. I drank way too much tequila with one of my friends. We were watching Ghost Adventures and I started tweeting at Zak Bagans and he wasn't responding. So I kept tweeting at him and he wouldn't respond. I didn't really know how Twitter worked. And then suddenly I was blocked by Zak Bagans. And so I've carried this beef for a decade now. As much as I claimed,
she's still blocked. A decade later, she's still blocked.
The memoir I will write, blocked by Bagans.
Well, so now we go to, we've decided, okay, this is going to be our format. When we go on tour, we're going to go ghost hunting. So we have to do so much pre-work before we can even write the show of the tour.
Spray tan and everything.
God, that's
we have to.
It's a lot.
It's a lot of prep.
All the logistics of having to even set up a place and then get all the equipment and then film it and then watch it and then write a story around all of it. So we had this huge plan. We were going to the Queen Mary, and then the night before, our producer Eva.
Oh my God, we got a fucking phone call from Eva, and she says, "It's the weirdest thing. I just called to confirm our reservation tomorrow, and they say they lost our reservation." And we're like, "What? We've had this booked for weeks." And we said, "Eva, can you do some digging? Find out what you can find out." She calls and she's like, "Fortunately, I got in touch with somebody there who's relatively new and kind of said too much and basically said, well, the Ghost Adventures crew," or no, I'm sorry. They did say, someone else actually ended up paying much more and buying the room out from under you. And
this
so
motherfucker.
And we didn't know who it was at first.
We didn't know at the time. Yeah, I kind of spoiled it, but I guess we all already knew where this was going. But at the time, we had no idea. We were like, what kind of asshole steals a room out from under somebody who already has it? And this is the one most haunted room in the place.
Yeah.
So it's known for that. And the next day, I'm just on Twitter, depressed in my spray tan and pajamas.
It's the night we're supposed to be investigating.
Yes,
and so
the night
Christine's
we're
just
supposed to be filming.
on Twitter.
Just on Twitter, and we suddenly get this DM from this girl who listens to our show, and she's like, "Oh my God, I'm at the Queen Mary right now, and the Ghost Adventures crew is filming in B340. And I'm like, "Are you effing kidding me?" And I said "Hey, super casually, I'm not going to freak out, but can you just tell me everything that you see and hear while you're there?"
Can you just go live and next few hours?
Periscope it.
What he doesn't know who he's tangling with here is that the thing about, and that's why we drink, is you got loyal fans out who are willing to do recon.
Boots on the ground.
Y'all aren't even around,
we got
and you're
boots
around.
on the ground, literally. And so she's like, someone's in there screaming, banging against the walls, throwing shit. And we're like, wow, yeah, that really does check out. That's him.
Well,
it was crazy.
So here's the thing. We had already gone to the Queen Mary a couple months before, and that we were going back for our second night so we could get additional footage. That was the whole plan. So we had gone before and it was lovely and we got a lot of really good content, but we were respectful. We were the opposite of Zak Bagans. We were just really chill and we got really good stuff. So we wanted to go back a second time. Mm-hmm. And then Zak Bagans stole our room, which became a huge plot point in our entire fucking tour. So he really wrote himself into the narrative.
Honestly, thanks for that though. That's hilarious. That's awesome. Thank you, sir.
So we ended up, because he stole our room, we were like, oh, fuck that. We have to get in as soon as possible. Mm-hmm. We ended up getting in the night after him, which means we went in the night after Zak Bagans pissed everything off.
Oh.
And we were the very first victims post Zak Bagans of what these ghosts.
And it was crazy. The shit we got that night was angry.
The energy was so different. Different.
As Em likes to point out too, I have OCD, and one way that it manifests is that when I go to hotel rooms, I have to check under the beds and in the closets for murderers just in case. Mm-hmm. Yeah. And so we were there, and Em was probably on the potty or wasn't there yet. And I was like, I'm going to check under the bed. I look under the bed and I find something and I pull it out. And then when Em arrives, I'm like, guess what I found? It's literally a piece of a camera lens that had rolled under the bed from his camera crew the night before.
So now we own a piece of Zak Bagans' camera equipment,
because in the room that you were investigating or the hotel room?
It's both.
The hotel room was the room we were investigating.
Oh, okay.
Sorry, that was probably not clear. Yeah,
so
you
it's the
stay
room
there. It's also a very haunted cabin.
Gotcha.
So they had left their camera lens. So you keep that. I say when you have and that's why we drink haunted. Not the haunted hotel, haunted museum someday.
Yes.
You're gonna have a museum someday, and that's gonna be in there. And it's like, this is the lens that was left behind after Zak Bagans.
This has seen some shit. You know?
Yes.
And also, I mean, we don't have that content available anymore to like show people on tour. But you know, obviously we're friends. We could send you some of the spooky shit that happened. But like, it was. It was fucking crazy. I mean, we went a second time because we had so much fun and we thought like, let's have a sleepover in the hotel room and we'll just hang out with the ghosts. And now we ended up leaving before midnight that night because it was so scary. And like
they were just aggressive and had been stirred up. The pot got stirred.
Then when we found the camera piece and we said Zak Bagans' name, because I was like, oh my God, this belonged to Zak Bagans. It was almost like they heard us say that name and they went, oh, you fucking know him? Okay. And then they really turned it up.
It just burst into flames in your hands.
You gotta show up and be like, listen, we're actually beefing with him.
Yeah, I've gotten blocked from his Twitter. We can't even communicate.
You're like, you have your phone out showing that you're blocked. I am blocked by Zak Bagans.
This guy.
We actually, cool. So we didn't, we should have done that. We should have just been like, we hate him too, but we didn't. We didn't. But our current tour that we're doing, we did make sure to announce early on, like, we don't like him, just so we're all on the same page.
Yes. You're like, listen, every ghost you meet, you have to be like, hi, I'm Heather. I'm a human, not friends with Zak Bagans.
Just to clarify.
Just so you know. Just to clarify.
We don't run in the same circles.
No, we don't roll. He's not invited to the group chat.
Everyone has their
for sure. Well, y'all are currently on tour right now. Where are you headed to next? Any dates you want to plug coming up for all of our listeners?
Oh my
gosh.
We
have, we just finished our last show of our spring tour, and now we're working on dates for a fall tour, but we don't know any of the dates yet. But in the fall, we will be out doing the same show we just did for spring and get to show it to a bunch of other cities and all that. So
please come here.
I know.
I really want to come to y'all.
We would love to. Texas is like our
Dolly World. We already planned that earlier.
Yes, we have a Dollywood trip.
Yes, we got
our Dollywood.
Everybody in planned. Dollywood. We'll have our group chat meet too. But yeah, if everybody wants to find you, and that's why we drink anywhere podcasts are available.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Easy peasy,
and social
man.
media, ATWWD podcast.
Look at you. You know better than we do.
Why are we here? Okay. You could just do it for us.
Have y'all ever thought about getting bracelets? Do you remember when the WWJD bracelets?
My God.
Have you ever had them? Thought about ATWWD?
Can you get like those like fabric bracelets with it like stitched
and
in?
You have to change. And then like the thing was with the WWJD, if somebody asked you like, what does that mean? You had to tell them and then give it to them. So then you're like, oh, and that's why we drink podcasts.
Oh,
so it's a grassroots campaign.
ATWWD bracelets. I'll wear them. I'll give them out to people.
Yeah, we'll do it.
I am passing my PR crown to you because apparently now you're promoting
for each other.
Our show. There you go.
ATWWD is the Sinisterhood Street team. We're the we drink street team. So it's fine. We'll just help each other.
Yeah.
We love it. We love y'all. And we're so happy you're here.
Thanks for letting us talk about
fun.
Ourselves for an entire hour.
That's why we had you here.
It was exactly what I needed. So
that's right. I love it. Y'all are always a blast to talk to. We love y'all. And literally so many of our listeners are like, we found y'all through and that's why we drink and we love them.
Happy.
So,
thank you.
Yes. There's a lot of on the Venn diagram of and that's why we drink in Sinisterhood. I feel like there's a big crossover.
We're just one big circle.
A lot of good ones.
Yeah.
I love that. That's what we're doing. We're gonna make it one big circle, everybody, and then the big circle meets at Dollywood. So we're doing it.
So the big circle.
We've made the big circle into a big group chat, so we can just start there.
Yes. And there we go.
Maybe that's what it's now called. The big circle. We're looking for a name for it. So
we'll let them know. Well, thank y'all for being here.
Yes, thank you so much.
Thank you both. We love you guys.
Bye.